Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kamikaze, coming at you live with a breaking news report. Our reporters in the field have confirmed sightings, I repeat, confirmed sightings, of the giant monkey man from the ninth dimension. This is not a drill. He is considered to be armed and dangerous. Do not try to approach him. Stay at home. Hide your kids, hide your wives. What might be of even more concern, though, is that despite sightings of the giant monkey man, we have not yet received any word of the whereabouts of the little monkey man from the 8th dimension. And as we all know, where there's one, the other is sure to follow. And most importantly, it should be... Wait, why is Roundabout playing? Greetings, gamers. My name is Kamikaze. And if you've never read The Journey to the West, you're probably under the impression that it's a novel about Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, going around hitting things with sticks, given that's how basically everything that claims to be inspired or adapted by it goes. It isn't, though. The book is actually about a Buddhist monk on a quest for enlightenment with his merry band of anthropomorphic animal buddies, one of whom is Sun Wukong. It's a comedy, and it's a satire of Chinese bureaucracy. Basically, my point here is that making an action game about Sun Wukong hitting things with a stick is like if you tried to claim that Wolfenstein: The New Order is an adaptation of Schindler's List, because Nazis are bad. And, I mean, sure, there's some surface-level similarities, but in both of these cases, they lose a great deal of the subtlety and replace the main character with a big ape. The good news, though, is that, much like Wolfenstein, Black Myth Wukong is actually awesome. It is an RPG, adventure, Souls-like sort of affair, and, I mean, I'm sure that's probably all you need to hear to make an informed decision on whether or not you should buy this game. It's Monkey Souls. Like all Souls-likes, though, it has to, switch up the formula. So, this one, completely original. It's set in a fantastical version of a particular Asian country's history. Bonfires become shrines. Estus is a magical healing gourd. It takes a hard position on the roll versus parry debate, and it only gives you one weapon. Wait a second. I'm kidding, it's actually kind of nothing like that game. It's very different, but I digress. If you're anything like me, though, Monkey Souls was all you needed to hear to be sold on the game. So, you play as Sun Wukong.
And so ends the last tale of Sun Wukong.
Psych! You play as Sun Wukong for like 2 minutes. You confront the very gods themselves, and then Erlong Shen calls you a bitch and murders you. Then 500 years pass, and a tribe of monkey men have taken up residence on the mountain where you died. This old monkey is telling the tale, and then the new you, this monkey man, who happens to look identical to Wukong and is also never actually given a name, and also happens to have a magical extendo stick, which is never really explained, step forward. Your elder tells you that Sun Wukong maybe didn't really die, possibly, and he may have also just split into 6 relics, so it would be kind of neat if somebody went and found them. So now, you gotta go and find them. Thus begins your journey through 6 themed worlds, fighting bosses, leveling up, finding secrets, etc., etc. And first of all, I wanna stop and say, this game is gorgeous. Oh my god. I'm not usually somebody who's like super impressed by graphics. I'd rather have some pretty hand-drawn art than just more polygons, but this is ridiculous. This is probably the best looking game that I've ever played. And it ran fairly well on my extremely mid PC. I did have to turn things down a bit when I was recording, but when it was just the game running, it was quite smooth. At first. As soon as I started in the first area, though, I immediately noticed what is my biggest complaint with this game overall, which is how how do I word this? How restrained the play area, I suppose, is. It's very linear. Everything is just kind of a narrow hallway that looks very nice, but there are invisible walls absolutely everywhere. Paths that I'm like, oh, that might be a way I can go. Nope, just slam into an invisible wall. Things that have no right to block you do. And maybe I'm just spoiled, because the last, RPG I played was Elden Ring, which will let you go absolutely anywhere, but this really bothered me. I am the Monkey King, the swift, the nimble, the agile, and I have been stopped in my tracks by this log. And if I want to jump off a cliff, let me. And this is where I'm going to point out that all of the gameplay in this video so far has been from Chapter 1. And it's not because I'm bad, okay? I mean, I am bad, but I'm also persistent, so shut up. Rather, it's because as soon as you finish Chapter 1, all of this flips. The game gets bigger. The area's more open, with more pathways. Many pathways that sort of loop around and spin and twist and link back together. Almost Soulsian, dare I say. However, the performance also tanked. I had to turn all my settings down to low, and whenever I tried to record, this happened. It was basically unplayable. He's gone. Why do we have to do it live? Ladies and gentlemen, thank God I'm okay. But the little monkey man is gone. His whereabouts currently unknown once again. I have received news, however. Scientists have made a breakthrough. If you want to defend yourself from this menace, the one scientifically proven way is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's at least 65% effective, and I've heard it could even be as much as 80% effective if you also click the like button. And with that, this concludes our emergency broadcast. Stay safe, America. So I will throw in, the few clips I did manage to get where it worked, but for the most part, yeah, it's just gonna be gameplay from the first section. But it was good. If you're not trying to, record the game to make videos about it, it's great that the game opens up a lot, even if the performance does drop a little bit. Especially Chapter 2. Chapter 2, you're basically in a big desert, and there's lots of sand particle effects, and there's this big sandstorm in the middle going on in the background the whole time, and that, my PC did not like that. Main criticisms out of the way, though, being the performance and the invisible walls. I absolutely love the combat in this game. It is so much fun. And it's just so, stylish. It is your typical Soulsy affair on the surface, light attack, heavy attack, dodge, stamina bar, etc. But it does some really cool things, and it just looks so good. Monkey Man, he's doing all these flips and spins and jumps, but it's so fast and smooth. It's like Devil May Cry almost, but then, it's so good. It's so good. Let me explain. So this is your focus meter. Heavy attacks ain't free in this economy. So when you land light attacks or get perfect dodges, which is where you dodge right before an attack hits you, your focus meter builds. When it reaches the top, you acquire one shiny new focus point, which you can then use for a heavy attack. But which one? Because you have 3 different fighting stances, which can be switched instantly during combat, and all of which change your heavy attack. You've got bonk, dodge, and whee! All of these can then be comboed either into more light attacks or dodges or further heavy attacks depending on the situation and if you've got more focus points. And I absolutely love this system. It's so good. The meter charges fast, so you do have to manage it, but it never feels restrictive. You always have options, but you can't go completely crazy. You can also hold your heavy attack button to charge up an attack, but while this game is easier than your typical Souls affair, certainly on the easier end of the spectrum, sitting still for 15 seconds charging a heavy attack is a really good way to get murdered. So you generally want to try to work them into combos, not just go in raw, you know? You've also got spells. You do unlock a bunch of spells over the course of the game. Anything from turning yourself into stone as kind of a parry move to summoning 8 clones of yourself that go and beat up the bad guys. But then there's Immobilize. Immobilize is the first spell that you get in the game, and I want to say I am no master gamer, but this spell is completely broken. It does exactly what it sounds like. It freezes an enemy in place for a few seconds. It interrupts anything they were doing, increases the damage that they take, and if you hit them with the full combo, it so-called shatters the Immobilize, which does a bunch of extra damage, and staggers them. And when given this spell at first, I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. It'll probably trivialize the little dudes, but I bet it won't even work on the bosses. But no, it totally does. It's so good. The problem with it is that it's actually so good, I basically didn't even try the other spells you get in this slot because, like, they're just not as good, even if they're cool. There is also a token gear system where you can craft new weapons and armor, but you generally unlock stuff very linearly, where the new stuff is almost always just a flat upgrade, which I kind of wish it wasn't, because some of the sets have cool effects, and I wish I could continue to use them, but the new armor just gets better, like so much better in terms of numbers, that it's not worth using the old stuff. And the game also just showers you with materials and money, so you don't need to worry about that. You kind of just always make whatever the newest stuff is, and you're golden. I did also mention this game it's a little bit on the easier end of the Souls spectrum. It is still certainly a challenge, don't get me wrong. And I really enjoyed it. Coming off of getting my head kicked in by Shadow of the Erdtree for like 80 hours, this was a very welcome change to not just feel completely helpless at every new boss I got to. Get this, there were even some bosses I beat on my first try, which certainly did not happen in Shadow of the Erdtree. My goodness. Boss fights in this game are awesome. They look super cool, obviously. I mean, everything in this game looks amazing, but they're creative enough. Some of them are pretty interesting character-wise, and I just like them a lot. And the normal enemies throughout the levels are more challenging than, you know, just mindless zombies, and serve to actually be interesting enough to fight that I didn't just run past all of them on my first go-through like I do with most of these games. So, credit there, Game Science, well done. I feel like there's not even much more to say about it. This game is fantastic. It's not super revolutionary, but it takes a genre that I love, does it with love, and just adds some really interesting ideas into the formula. It's great. I wish it ran a little bit better, but fantastic game overall. Highly recommend, whether you do or don't like Souls-likes. If you do, then it's great. If you don't, it's not super difficult, and there's a fairly interesting story and characters. So I give it a shot. This game is great. So that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. Next video will probably be Star Wars Outlaws, because that comes out next week. And yeah, goodbye.
Foul monkey!